We had a big story come out a few days ago about just how much Trump has the Republican establishment by the balls. This is really something. Take a look. Despite departing from office and being barred from the leading social media platforms, President Donald J. Trump was the Republican Party's most dominant fundraiser in the first half of 2021 and ended June with a war chest of more than $100 million, according to new federal campaign filings made this weekend. Mr. Trump raised far more money than any other Republican via WinRed, the party's main processing site for online donations, records show, and more than each of the three main fundraising arms of the Republican Party itself. His nearly $102 million in cash on hand was also more than each of the party committees. The next strongest online fundraiser among Republican politicians was Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who delivered the GOP response to President Biden's first address to Congress in spring. Mr. Scott raised $7.8 million online. So Trump over $100 million, Scott $7.8 million, and he's the second biggest fundraiser. Mr. Trump's advisors inaccurately announced on Saturday that his affiliated political action committees raised nearly $82 million in the first 6 months of 2021. They continue here in the New York Times. That figure counted at least $23 million in transfers to his new political action committees that had actually been raised last year in other Trump-affiliated accounts, according to an analysis of federal filings. A spokesman for Trump did not immediately comment on the discrepancy other than to defend the operation's accounting. All told, WinRed's filings showed that Trump had collected more than $56 million online into various accounts in the first 6 months of the year. The biggest share, $34.3 million, came into a shared account with the Republican National Committee, which is known as the Trump Make America Great Again Committee. Trump's Political Action Committee is set to receive 75% of what went into the shared account, and the party received 25%. In addition, Trump raised more than $21 million online directly into two new Save America political action committees that he controls. So this is something. Homeboy is swimming in cash, dog. Swimming in cash. He's got all these PACs set up, and he's got all this money that's coming in. And as they pointed out, there was some transferring of millions of dollars that's going on. Now, I don't know the specifics of that. I don't know the details of that. But that very well could be fishy, like we've covered in previous segments. The way in which a lot of this is coming in is sketchy as hell. Like when he did the fundraising to stop the steal immediately after the election, and then there was fine print that basically said something along the lines of you have to give over $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever the line is in order for any of the money to go towards actually stopping the steal and going towards those court cases. We covered recently he spent $0 on the stop the steal stuff and on the court cases. He spent $0, and he raised, I forget the exact number, was $70 million or some shit? I don't remember the exact numbers, but so he's raising money in all these different ways, and some of it's being transferred to, a potential 2024 run. They say that the biggest fundraising day for him and for WinRed was when he gave his CPAC speech, and he just absolutely was shattering records. He is single-handedly outraising all of the Republican committees, which means he's single-handedly outraising the entire Republican Party. He raised over $100 million. And you have Tim Scott's in the second place with just shy of $8 million. So what this means is they got a problem on their hands, dog. Looks like if he runs, he's a shoo-in. He would be a shoo-in. When you have this big of a money advantage, this big of a grassroots support advantage, it almost doesn't matter that he has a smaller coalition for a general election, which might be problematic for Republicans. They're so fired up and they're so loyal that, at least internally in the party, nobody else could hold a candle to him. So if he runs in 2024, right now he looks like a shoo-in. Because he's got the base support, and he's got the institutional backing and the money backing, and a decent amount of this. Now, don't get it twisted. He has no principled objection to taking big money. Of course he takes big money all the fucking time, whether it's billionaires or corporations or whatever. But a lot of this money is also grassroots. His supporters who love him and can't get enough of him, and they just roll out the red carpet for him. And so we have a behemoth on our hands. We have a juggernaut. And, fact of the matter is, whatever they say publicly, you know damn well that Mike Pence, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, and many others behind the scenes are like, God damn it, now I have to wait longer to be the guy. Because they all want to be president. They all have giant egos. And the fact that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans didn't step up immediately after January 6th and ban Trump from holding future office says everything. They didn't have to impeach him. There didn't have to be criminal charges. All it took was a handful of Republicans to step up and say, you know what? After the January 6th thing, he was talking out of both sides of his mouth and egging these people on. You're done. You can't run again for office. And there's no recourse for Trump. He would have been banned from future office. I mean, that, granted, he would have lashed out and went after the Republican Party and then tried to start, some third party, but he would have permanently fractured them if he did that, which would have been good for Democrats. But, maybe that's actually why McConnell decided, I got to sort of live with this cancer on his party. And make no mistake about it, McConnell does think Trump is a cancer on the party. So it's funny because even with failure after failure, he's in a stronger position than any other Republican by far. By far. And here we are. And we're going to get to a story in a little bit about how the Democrats, you might look at this and say, okay, well, the guy already proved he lost, so he's a loser, and if he runs again, we're just going to repeat history. Well, but it doesn't look good for the person who's the heir apparent on the Democratic side. The numbers are actually devastating on that front. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's really a race to the bottom in terms of the options. And I'm just astounded at the extent to which Trump still has a stranglehold on the entire Republican establishment. They've made no, savvy chess moves in order to try to one-up him in any way. They're just at the whims of this maniac. And he's just out fundraising them by 1.5 miles. It really is astonishing to see, but if he runs, he's basically a shoo-in at this point. And, 3 years, 4 years is a long time. We'll see what happens, but these numbers are truly astonishing.